Good morning.
Good morning.
This is the first good morning. Um just to tell you that we're experiencing some technical difficulties, if you didn't already know. So we will start the service as soon as those technical difficulties have been simplified. Thank you.
Yeah, let's sing. Let's sing 354. Please be seated. And Peggy, thank you so much.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Mark Witherspoon, and I serve on the Fellowship Board of Directors. I want to thank you all for being here today and extend a special welcome to any visitors. If you would like more information about the fellowship, please visit the welcome table in the fireside room or sign our virtual guest book at uu.org/guestbook. Whether joining us from home or here in Fellowship Hall, we invite you to stay after the service for Coffee Fellowship, where you can introduce yourself and join in conversation with kindred spirits. We have a couple of announcements today. One, please stop by the table outside the kitchen after service today if you'd like to share your thoughts about our next minister. And please attend the October 29th service, that's next Sunday, which will be led by the Ministerial Search Committee. Next Sunday, the UUFA End of Life Support Group is bringing in a speaker to talk about concerns surrounding dementia. The event will be at 2 p.m. in the fireside room and online. Sign up is available in the fireside room today. So, on behalf of this caring, nurturing congregation, I welcome each and every one of you to this sacred space. Here we invite you into an experience of transformation, hope, renewal, and connections, which may inspire you to understand life in new ways. Thank you for joining us today.
Our opening words this morning are a responsive reading, and your response is, "You are beloved and you are welcome here." You are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether tears have fallen from your eyes this past week or gleeful laughter has spilled out of your smiling mouth, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether you are feeling brave or brokenhearted, defiant or defeated, fearsome or fearful, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether you have untold stories buried deep inside, or stories that have been forced beyond the edges of comfort, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether you have made promises, broken promises, or are renewing your promises, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whatever is on your heart, however it is with your soul at this moment, you are beloved and you are welcome here.
Welcome here.
In this space of welcome and acceptance, commitment and recommitment, covenant and connection, always worship together. And our chalice lighting this morning is from Reverend Scott Taylor. We light this chalice in the names of love. Loving family that brings us into being, allows us to bloom, and then sends us on our way with courage, knowing we can return no matter what. The love of partnered hearts that teach us to trust and help us to know that who we are does not end at the barrier of our own skin. The love of friends who help us feel seen and sing our song back to us when we cannot hear it with our ears alone. The love of community that bathes us in belonging and calls us to see the needs of others as our own. And that greatest love, the love that will not let us go, even in our fear, even in our failure, even when we are lonely or lost. Love invites us home. If we listen, it is doing so even today. Will you rise now in body or spirit for our opening song, number 346? Come sing a song with me.
Come sing a song. Come sing a song with me. All right.
I invite any youth here today to come join us down on the blue rug for a story about leadership and about reminding us that we cannot do it alone. And that is Sophia Valdez, Future Prez, by Andrea Beatty and illustrated by David Roberts. Sophia was a baby who got things done, helping her family before she turned 1. She and Abuelo went out every week to help elderly friends around Blue River Creek who couldn't get out and about on their own and with no place to gather were stuck home alone. Raking the leaves, taking pets for a walk, or just dropping by for a treat and a talk, Sophia Valdez did as much as she could for her family and friends and her whole neighborhood. A dreamer, a doer, a real-life go-getter. Most people liked good, but Sophia liked better. Each morning, Abuelo walked Sophie to class. They walked home again along Blue River Pass and making plans, munching cookies, Abuelo and girl. Except for that Tuesday when Pup saw the squirrel, and with a howl, Pup took off, racing all through the town, over, under, beneath, and around. Sophie scrambled to try to keep up with the hollering man and the bellowing Pup. Up the squirrel ran to the top of a hill, made of leftover junk for the local landfill. They reached the tip-top of that mountain of trash which jiggled and broke with an ear-splitting crash. And down they all tumbled and hit with a thud on a moldy old pumpkin surrounded by mud. Ouch, cried Abuelo. He struggled to stand. A dangerous mess, he said, grasping her hand. The next day, Sophia walked to school solo, but it wasn't the same without her Abuelo. This is not right, declared young Sophia, who glared at Mount Trashmore and got an idea. The next morning at dawn, she planted a sign at the front of the lawn, and she stood back and smiled, and Pup gave a bark. Get rid of Mount Trashmore. Let's build a new park. And each of her neighbors had something to say about benches and fountains and places to play, meeting spots, gardens, a basket for bees, a rubber duck pond, and a kiosk for cheese. And she drew every thought on her map of the park, which was perfectly perfect by quarter till dark. And she drifted to sleep in her soft, cozy bed, and then, bam! She woke up with a thought smacked in her head. Her heart skipped a beat as she realized each one of her neighbors had said, well, let me know when it's done. They all thought Sophia could build it alone. But how could one girl do so much on her own? The weight of that thought made her tender heart ache as night thunder growled and she lay wide awake. And then dawn brought a storm, and the gloomy sky wept, and the heart-sick Sophia finally slept. Abuelo baked cookies when Sophie got up. He gave her a bagful and sneaked one to Pup. He blinked back a tear as he hugged his Sophia. For courage, he whispered, Te amo, mi vida. Sophia's knees wobbled as she felt weak inside. She looked at his ankle and quite nearly cried, And though she didn't feel brave or courageous at all, Sophia Valdez went to face City Hall. The mayor's office sent her to room 401, the Blue River Creek Department of Fun, which sent her downstairs to room 302, the office of duck ponds and cool things to do. To the office of monkeys? To the department of cheese? The division of fountains and meetings and bees, and then down to the basement, so musty and cramped, where all the town's papers were sorted and stamped. And that's where the clerk said what no one else did. "Well, you can't build a new park, you're only a kid." The words smacked Sophia deep down in her heart. Her plan was kiboshed before it could start. "But I think," said Sophia, "I think that law is wrong." But her second-grade voice didn't sound very strong. Well, and the clerk said, "Clearly, it cannot be done. Do you have any questions?" And Sophia said, "One, if you were me, and if I was you, and he was your grandpa, what would you do?" Well, said the clerk, and then she said nothing at all. And she thought, and then she sent out a call to every employee throughout City Hall. The entire government of Blue River Creek crammed into the office to hear Sophie speak. But her words jumbled up, and her cheeks turned bright red as a dozen emotions rushed into her head. Her heart beat so loudly she thought it would crack. The crowd leaned in closer. Sophia leaned back. And then her arm brushed the edge of that old cookie sack. And that was the moment when Sophia first knew being brave means doing the thing that you must do. And though your heart cracks with fear, though you're just in grade 2, she took a deep breath, looked the mayor in the eye, and though her knees wobbled and she held her head high, Sophia started talking. She spelled out her plan and why it all mattered and how it began. And once she got rolling, she had lots to say about meeting spots, monkeys, and places to play, and other ideas for things they could do to help the town elders and other folks too. And she had thoughts on the library, thoughts on the zoo, and perhaps a way to combine the two, and all right, cried the mayor. "Go start a petition. If the town wants a new park, we'll form a commission." And so young Sophia got right to work, and some help from her family and a pup and a clerk. Then others joined in, not all, but a few, like Miss Lila Greer and the kids in grade 2. And there were hearings and surveys and taxes to figure, and then bulldozers, cranes, and a blue bigger digger. And they all built that park, because that's how it got done, with the hard work of, by, and for everyone. But it began with the dream of one person, just one, who laced up her shoes and then led the way to help Blue River Creek get a new place to play. Now every evening, till long after dark, the town comes together at Citizens Park. They all hold this truth to be self-evident, that Sophia Valdez could grow up to be president. And until then, Sophia, that real-life go-getter, helps Blue River Creek get better and better. And so remember, kids, it all takes all of us to work together to get better. So let's sing these kids off to their classrooms with this little light of mine.
Will you join me now in a moment of prayer and meditation? And our prayer this morning comes from Reverend Joe Cherry. This is my prayer. Please let the center hold. The center is what holds our faith together. The strength of the center is what allows us to stretch farther into the future, to the unknown, the untried, the uncertain, the unnerving, the places where growth happens. Let the center be strong. And let the center of this living tradition move with the times. Let the center of our living tradition lead the times. May the strength of the center strengthen us as we seek, as we embody compassion, work for equity, and demand justice for all. Let our center hold, strong as an oak tree, flexible as the willow tree, life-giving as an orange tree, evergreen as the pine tree, and as beautiful as the almond tree in blossom. May it be so, and amen.
Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning, a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. It is a tradition in our community to take this time to share our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support of our community. If you'd like, you can step up to the microphone, state your name, and share your joy or sorrow, and I will light a milestone candle for you. We'll first do those in Fellowship Hall, and then we'll transition to those online. Our last candle is for those milestones that have been left unsaid, those we hold gently in our hearts. May we remember those who have spoken, those who have been named, and those we hold in silence in our hearts. Let's join together now in a moment of silence.
Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Ames Covenant, adopted in 2012.
To deepen our connections with one another and to model compassionate and effective relationships for all those who speak our message of hope and commitment to justice, we adopt this covenant. We make this promise to live our Unitarian Universalist principles in our interactions with one another, mindful of the larger mission and purpose of our religious community.
To value the inherent worth and dignity of every person, we strive to
Listen deeply and check our understandings.
make space for our diverse backgrounds, needs, gifts, and passions.
To enhance the possibilities of justice, equality, and compassion in human relations, we strive to
Speak from our best intentions and assume the good intentions of others.
communicate directly with people when disagreements arise.
Voice our appreciation generously.
Speak compassionately to and about one another.
To accept one another and encourage spiritual growth, we strive to
Interact with others as they are, not as we imagine them to be.
be patient and forgiving with one another and with ourselves.
Give help and ask for help as we need it.
And remember our principles whenever we gather together.
To support the right of conscience and honor the democratic process, we strive to
Bring our good ideas and generous spirits to this community
respect one another,
and honor our decision-making processes.
aware that our joy is more joyful, our tears more healing, our service more effective, our laughter more real, and our interdependence more vivid when shared in loving community. We strive to honor the spirit of this covenant in our relationships within this religious community and with the wider world. We will now give and receive our offering. Please know that this morning, half of the non-pledge offering will be donated to the American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge program. More than 30 Hope Lodge communities across the country provide a free space to stay during treatments so people with cancer can focus on getting better. These communities provide comfortable guest spaces with all the comforts of home, all at no cost to guests. The other half of our offering will support programs here in our fellowship that make this a community of inspiration and transformation. We'll pass the baskets here in Fellowship Hall, and for those at home, you can visit uufames.org/give to make your contribution today. And if you're visiting today, please know that your presence is gift enough.
Good morning, Central Iowa and beyond. My name is Reverend A.J. Galazin. I'm your interim minister. My pronouns are he and his. I want to welcome everyone joining us here today, both in the sanctuary and on Zoom, and wherever you are on your spiritual, ethical, or questioning journey, you are welcome here. Today is the fourth Sunday of the month. That means it's Social Justice Sunday. We will meet at 11 o'clock after the service in room 3, or on a special Zoom connection. So if you're watching on Zoom and you will need to exit this session, enter the Zoom room for the social justice meeting on the calendar. Please join us for this monthly update on social justice issues here in our community, but every Sunday should be Justice Sunday. It is who we are. Looking ahead, 2 weeks from today, on November 5th, we will celebrate All Souls, a traditional time to remember those who we have lost from this world, but who remain in our hearts. Please bring a photo and or a memento of your loved ones for our table of memory, and be prepared to share a brief recollection if you are so moved. Whether or not our departed friends' stories and values stay relevant depends on you. Whether or not their lives are told truly depends on those of us who remember. Each year, the Unitarian Universalist Association chooses a book for all congregations to read and explore. This year's book, On Repentance and Repair, Making Amends in an Unapologetic World, by Dania Ruttenberg, invites readers of all faiths to practice personal accountability that can make a difference in our communities and world. Please join us in this important discussion. We'll begin on Saturday afternoon, November 11th, both in person and on Zoom. And the books are available from InSpirit Bookstore and from our Berger Library. I love signs, and I continue to find spiritual guidance from random signs I encounter in my travels. I went for a walk at Ada Hayden Park last week, and I saw a sign I've never seen before. It says, "Announce your presence." So I turned toward the lake and I said, "Here's AJ." But I didn't really understand the purpose of what I was doing. So I just kept walking along the lakeside path. And then a little later, I almost had a heart attack when a whizzing bicyclist nearly hit me and he yelled in my ear. Then it finally dawned on me. If you are on a mission in life, good for you. But please respect your environment. Introduce yourself before you get involved. Please announce your presence. I'm also obsessed with traffic jams. I hate them. That's another reason why I love living in Ames. This is a place of traffic calming. Except on game days, when I lock myself in and pull down the blinds. I especially hate construction zones on the freeway. You know the drill. Come to a complete stop. Which lane should I choose? The one that seems to be moving? No, now this one's moving. It can go on for miles, and then it becomes a tug of war as each vehicle jockeys for position until the orange cones converge. Recently, I've seen signs that urge some traffic calming. They say, use both lanes and take turns at the merge. Using both lanes makes perfect sense. It alleviates the division between the good people in the correct lane and the line jumpers who think they're better than everyone else and try to make a run for it. And take turns at the merge is the golden rule of do unto others as you would have them do unto you in action. Every school child knows it is only fair that each lane should allow one car and take turns, left, right, and so on. But it turns out that drivers are much more evil than school children. They're fine until they get to the merge, and then some people just try to keep barreling right through. Who cares about taking turns? I think I have a solution. In Minneapolis, the freeway entrances are metered with traffic lights. And for some unknown reason, people obey the lights. Left, right. But they will never obey the signs. Leadership takes turns. Are you with me now? Leadership embraces some dissonance to find a collective voice, to build our moral cadence. Unitarian Universalists do not have a creed. I wish I had a nickel for every time I've said that. We have principles, we have guidelines, we have missions, we have visions, and most importantly, we have covenants. Temporary promises we make to each other. Promises that will be made, promises that will be broken, promises that will be amended. Covenants are always temporary. Covenants can also be lost and forgotten over time. Today, Sarah and I read your current covenant, adopted in 2012, more than 10 years ago. How much of that covenant could you still feel in your bones? How much of it seemed dry or repetitive? How much of it has been broken? Actually, I think it still sounds pretty good. I would like to be part of a community that lived those promises. But all things have a freshness date, and covenants are not written in stone. So it's probably time for this fellowship to dig in and come up with the next version of your covenant. But now is not that time. That will be the work for you with your next minister. We are already busy with many projects, and adopting a new covenant that will last a decade or so should not be rushed. But things have changed over the past 10 years, and one issue that this congregation and many others are facing is a drought of leadership. Apparently, everyone is busy, and fewer people are stepping up to lead. So when I looked at your covenant, I didn't find any mention of the importance of leadership. Apparently, at one time, finding new leaders was not your concern. There are 2 clauses in your covenant that refer obliquely to leadership. That you strive to bring your good ideas and generous spirits, and that you strive to honor your decision-making processes. Okay. I don't want to be a gloomy Gus, but if bringing your good ideas and honoring your decision-making processes means that you don't have to care what the board and the leadership do as long as you don't have to do anything, well, then I'm starting to wonder who's really abiding by the covenant. But I'm not a gloomy Gus. The signs of the times have given me a vision for the future. The spirit of Ada Hayden advises us to announce your presence. Say that with me. Announce your presence. Don't hide and wait to be asked. Let the leadership know that you are a vital part of this fellowship and you're ready to do what you can. Don't make the nominating committee search high and low to find someone. Make yourself known. Secondly, use both lanes. In life, we have the fast lane and the slow lane, and both are useful at different times. But if everyone sits in the slow lane, we might never be called into service. We need some people to speed up a bit when their energy allows it. Using both lanes may also refer to our experience. Both veterans and apprentices have a place. Finally, and most important to me, take turns at the merge. Please say that with me. Take turns at the merge. Know ahead of time that you will be needed. Find a way to make it work. Meet the moment wherever you are. The structures can be flexible. Bylaws can be amended. Emergency escape is possible. You will not be ostracized if life intervenes. But please take a leap of faith and ask, what would make this workable for you? There is a leadership vacuum right now. There are the usual suspects who have done their part and are doing it again. Amen. But no leader is indispensable. We need each other. One of the lessons I learned early on in my church involvement was the organizational difference between a vertical hierarchy and a horizontal centering. I was so excited as I approached being the newly elected chairperson of a committee. I spent hours planning by myself all of the various subcommittee responsibilities, daydreaming the great things we would accomplish. And I even created a color-coded system of binders and folders that we could use. I was so proud of myself. At our first meeting, I enthusiastically unveiled my proposal with dramatic flourish. And the response was, you guessed it, crickets. Some people were actually slack-jawed. And when someone finally spoke, the gist of the discussion moved from the conceptual to the real. Forget the banners, binders. What one or two things could we actually get done this year? And that is when I learned what Reverend Joe Cherry meant in the prayer I read this morning. Quote, the center is what holds our faith together. The strength of the center is what allows us to stretch farther into the future, to the unknown, the untried, the uncertain, the unnerving, the place where growth happens. Let the center hold, close quote. After that, my leadership style moved squarely into the center. It's not about me. It's about us. The center is built for us. Reverend Susan Frederick Gray points out that, quote, mission and covenant are an antidote to individualism. They remind us of the responsibilities that come with an affirmation of independence, close quote. When we enter into covenant, we do so voluntarily and independently. But the covenant itself binds us to the greater promise of our common work, the work we can never do alone. After our service on Sunday, November 12th, we will have an engagement fair in the fireside room, a time to meet and greet the committees and teams that do the work of this fellowship. Please make an effort to attend, learn more about our common efforts. Thank those whose time and talents are greatly appreciated, and perhaps lend a hand. And coincidentally, November 12th is also New Member Sunday, where new members will find a place to get engaged. Your assignment this week, should you choose to accept it, deepen your involvement in your world. Announce your presence. Use both lanes and take turns at the merge. May it be so, and amen. Please rise now in body or spirit for our closing song, number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Our closing words are from Reverend Richard Gilbert. As we leave this community of the Spirit, may we remember the difficult lesson that each day offers more things than we can do. May we do what needs to be done, postpone what does not, and be at peace with what we can be and do. Therefore, may we learn to separate that which matters most and that which matters least of all. Go now in peace.